I wanted to talk about IL2CPP mainly because I was sort of interested to know what it was and whether it was something that was going to be useful. I think, if you've got a bit of experience, you can kind of guess what this thing does without having to look too far into it. And basically, if you guessed it, it's right. It's pretty simple, to be honest. I thought there was going to be more to it. It's a Unity low-level technology. To cut a long talk short, should I care about it? Probably not, unless you're a bit of a geek like me and you want to get into the nuts and bolts of how things work. And then it's pretty cool to learn about. So what is it? So I said it's a Unity technology. I thought, originally I thought it might have been like an open source technology that they'd co-opted, and it doesn't appear to be. It seems to be something, it's part of a pipeline, say, but they've implemented the what you guess part, the IL2CPP, basically.
There are several open source projects that do the same job.
Oh, yep. So maybe they've got some inspiration from somewhere.
Did you figure out if it's LLVM based? Because I think LLVM is MIT licensed.
I'll get to that. I think
you could release it closed source because it's MIT. I think.
Yep.
Anyway, I'll leave. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, I don't know whether their program is, but it could certainly target that, I think. Now, it's an AOT compiler, and that's just a regular compiler. It stands for ahead of time compiler, and that's sort of in comparison to like a just-in-time compiler, something like JavaScript and maybe to a certain extent C# that compiles it just before it needs to. It's also a VM. I don't really know where the VM part of it comes in, but they do mention that. But that's sort of, and then there's these runtime services to support the VM, and the runtime services implement the C# standard library, garbage collection, reflection, and probably whatever other stuff comes in C# that I'm not sure of at the moment. But so that's basically. I'm going to show you a diagram as well in a minute that'll hopefully make it clear if it's not being described well enough. So why do you want this? Ultimately, it'll result in better performance. They talk about having the productivity of using C#, but with the performance of C++. From Unity's perspective, they can more easily target other platforms. So instead of porting the whole C# runtime and the interpreter and stuff like that to every platform they want to support, they're just going to compile that C# or the .NET assemblies to C++, and then they can compile that in whatever way is best for that platform.
That's how they're targeting the 3DS.
Oh, okay, yep.
You know the big one, though, that you haven't got there? Are you getting to that?
What's that?
The main reason is basically because everything since June that gets submitted to the iOS store has to support 64-bit, and Mono doesn't do 64-bit. IL2CPP, they basically created so they could do 64-bit for iOS, otherwise they were out.
Well, that's some interesting background information. I didn't...
The version of Mono that Unity has doesn't support 64-bit.
Mono 2, right, yeah. Because basically from when you were basically they would have been out of the iOS ecosystem. You wouldn't have been able to publish even an update to a Unity game on iOS since June if they hadn't found a way to get past the fact that Mono's their version of Mono is 32-bit.
And for them to update to the latest Mono to use on mobile platforms, they would have had to go through a whole load of licensing, runtime licensing issues.
And probably a massive architecture work.
Well, I do mention 64-bit iOS coming up, but I wasn't aware that was the reason.
Publishing restriction.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool to actually know that. Apparently, use of C# won't change, but I do think there's some caution in that area. I'll come to that. So when is this happening? It's basically already happened. So it ships with Unity 5, as Matt was saying, iOS 64 and WebGL. I'll show you a diagram in a sec that shows you how it targets WebGL. So how does this thing work? So basically, as I've indicated, it converts .NET assemblies to C++. So the IL part of it stands for intermediate language, and it's basically just the name of the representation that C# or .NET code is stored in when it's compiled before it's actually normally just-in-time compiled to native code, however they do that. Once it's in C++, then you use your native C++ compiler to produce your native binaries. You get a lot of advantages from that. So like C++ compilers have been around for a long time, and they've got some really advanced optimization techniques that'll help you get better performance out of your code. There's also a lot of Unity-focused optimizations to the C# standard library. So what that means is basically they look at how people in games are using that, and then they optimize it to suit those circumstances. Now, the program itself is actually called IL2CPP.exe, and if you look in Unity 5, you'll find that. And so normally a lot of this would just be transparent, so like under the hood, you choose your build target, and it just does it all for you. But you could actually use that program manually and like tell it which DLLs to compile. It will compile the C++ code, and you can then go and inspect that, which I thought was pretty cool. And there's a link at the end that kind of can walk you through how to do that as well. So this is a diagram I pinched from the Unity blog. It just shows you C# or various types of .NET assemblies going into IL2CPP, and coming out of that, it can go to Inscription for WebGL, Xcode for iOS, and potentially other C++ compilers. You mentioned 3DS, I think, was it?
Yeah, they're using it to target 3DS. They're in beta, I think, for 3DS support at the moment. And they'll be using IL2CPP progressively across further platforms, PS4, Xbox One, coming to Android as well.
It's really interesting development. So a little bit of caution maybe. This applies to any kind of cross-platform development. Always test on the device, because it's going to be different to when you test it on the PC or the Mac when you're developing. And you just need to know that. You need to know that it's going to work. I'm unclear as to how debugging and performance analysis is going to work.
I can tell you from experience of dealing with that this week, basically it doesn't.
What, debugging and performance analysis? Or?
Oh, the performance analysis, it'll tell you where your hotspots are, really, but it's basically you're debugging the CPP to an extent.
Run and hope.
Yeah. So I haven't seen anything online that kind of clears up how well this is going to work. I suspect it's going to work badly, very badly at first.
You can debug through the generated code, but the generated code is not pretty to...
It's not, you can't understand it, of course.
It's like debugging obfuscated code, effectively.
Yep.
At least you've got the CPP as opposed to debugging the assembly. But honestly, we were just having a big fix.
So you're actually working with this on IL64?
I was shipping updates this week to 64-bit iOS. And in fact hit a massive bug deep in their engine just this week I had to deal with. And you're pretty much back to printf debugging to an extent. So basically you try and get all your bugs sorted out on the PC in the editor with the debugger first, and then in theory you should only be dealing with 64-bit specific issues on the device is basically what you're going to do.
But also the other annoyance with debugging is that generating the C++ code and then building it blows out your build times compared to previous. We had a 3-minute build time go up to 3-minute build on Android is 13-minute build on iOS.
The other thing I'm concerned about is that Unity features often require work to make them usable. For example, streaming, like an example of something that should work out of the box in Unity for artists to use, but it requires a fair bit of programmer support. I think it's got better a little bit in Unity 5, but it still requires that coder support to get it working. And it makes me wonder what we'll have to do to get this thing working. Maybe nothing. Maybe I'm just being overly worried over nothing. Garbage collection is interesting. It's built on an open source library at the moment called libgc. You can get to it on GitHub if you want to look at it. The system is designed to be able to plug in other garbage collectors. So I assume in the future we might see other options. So some good news. From the blogs I've been reading, it looks like Microsoft and Unity are working together to bring like a new version of C# to Unity. And that's going to be amazing because they're roughly 7 years out of date, I think, and we miss out on a lot of cool C# features because of that. So basically, I pretty much just looked at these 2 blog posts, so I'll put them up on meetup.com as well, so that if anyone else is interested in following up on this further and actually trying this out, you can do so at home.